the large 7 figures, like 3-year, multi-3-year deal. And so I think if I could take away anything from that deal in terms of the process, I think salespeople have to remember that it's your job to guide the person through the sales process, not the customer's job. And what I mean by that is making sure that you're literally hand-holding them through the process from first meeting to end close, in that you're guiding them along the way and you're not leaving it on the prospect to get back to you. What I mean by that is I think a lot of salespeople go, oh, well, they're interested and, they'll get back to me or they'll touch base with me. And people rarely do, because people are busy and they have life going on and they have their work life going on. So I think it's kind of hand-holding people through a process, but always showing value in along the way. So delivering pieces of, tidbits, or bringing senior executives from your team along as part of the process to show that we're engaged and that we want your business. I think salespeople sometimes are afraid to show the excitement for the business and that we want the business. And I think people need to know that you're a salesperson. They know you're there to sell them. There's no mystery. They know you're there to sell them something. So sell them something. And I think
don't try and hide it.
Don't try to hide it. It gets cheesy and bizarre and nobody knows what's going on. I think it's just be direct and to the point. When you're there to sell somebody something, sell it, and being enthusiastic about it along the way. Because if you don't care as a salesperson, then why would I care as a buyer? And then I think separately, another big takeaway that I learned at my time at the Herjavec Group and from Robert directly, I remember him saying, when people ask you how your day's going, Dakota, make sure you respond fantastic, wonderful, because people don't actually care. You just said that point blank. People aren't actually asking you how your day is because they care. They don't care.
It's a filler.
It's a filler. It's a formality. And people want to be around high energy people that are fun, because nobody's selling IP here. There's very little intellectual property in the world today. So they're selling an experience. You're buying an experience. Because if they don't buy a car from Honda, then they're going to go buy it from Toyota or somebody else. A car is a car is a car. Sure, there's luxury vehicles and we get that. But if you're in the market for a minivan, there's lots of people you can go to buy a minivan. So why am I buying from, Owen down at Honda, Queensway? I'm buying from him because I kind of liked him. He was fun and I remembered him and he made it easy. And it's that simple. And I think people have to understand that.
Yeah, that's very true. Having a good experience with the person itself is way better than the deal you're actually getting sometimes. Exactly. And then I always talk about making things frictionless. I buy a lot of technology for our company. We own, obviously LinkedIn, HubSpot, Zocto, Zoom, Sales Handy, the list goes on and on and on of all these different technologies that we use. When the salesperson on that side makes life hard for me, meaning they don't get back to me on time, they draw out meetings, they're asking questions that are irrelevant or dumb and wasting my time, I move on to somebody else because it's speed. It's I need to buy something now to help me make money. You're making this complicated, so I'm moving on to somebody else. There's nothing that you do from a functionality perspective that's so much different than your competitor. It's 2020. Please, the technologies are so similar. It's the experience that I'm buying into. And when you make life easy, I say yes faster. But when you drag it out, I move on to somebody else. And that's the core.
You mentioned working for Robert.
Yes.
And you also wrote a book with Robert.
I didn't write a book. I was featured in his book.
You're
so
featured.
He wrote a chapter about new employees, and I was featured in that chapter. So I was, it was exciting. But so Robert Herjavec, he's on SharkTank, and he is the CEO and founder of a company called Herjavec Group, which is one of the largest cybersecurity companies globally.
Oh, okay, I thought you wrote the book with him.
No, I didn't write it.
That's a flex.
I wish, but no, I didn't write it.
Tell us about the chapter.
Absolutely, yeah. So he was just talking about. So the book is called Will to Win. And it was just talking about that competitive nature, the aggressiveness, the hunter mentality I spoke to earlier. And in that chapter, he was talking about, how to get the most out of employees and how to recognize employees who are winners. And so he was bringing up a few different scenarios in which he identified me as a winner. And some of the things that I showed within sales processes, but even outside, like at company kickoffs, some of the things that I did outside of a customer relationship to show him that I was somebody who, winning was important to, and excellence, striving for excellence was core to who I was. So it kind of dove into that. Yeah, it was good.
Sounds and how's like Robert as a person? I know like he's one of the most gentle sharks on Shark Tank.
Yeah.
But I'm sure he's like, when it comes to business, as Kevin O'Leary says, money has no emotions, right? So
exactly.
How's he like as a leader, and like what are some of the things that you picked up from him that you apply today for your own business?
Yeah, no, as a leader, I think he was one of the best people to learn from. I think he was, the one word I always say with Robert is ruthless, and people don't necessarily associate that based on, the TV show. But I think he's somebody who, from a leadership perspective, really led by example and was fearless in that he made a lot of decisions for the business, which makes sense because it was his business, that a lot of people at the time were confused by and didn't necessarily understand. I know there was a lot of friction sometimes with some of the decisions that he made for the business in terms of salespeople saying, I don't understand that. Why is he acquiring this business? Why is he doing that? That doesn't make sense. And us at the time thinking, we know what's going on, but he's running a multi-million-dollar business and has a lot of experience. And so I think what I learned from him is do what you're going to do, period. Don't ask permission nor forgiveness. Like, do what you're going to do, ride the wave. If it works, beautiful. If it doesn't, that's okay. Move on to the next play. I think he was somebody who just so passionately made decisions and was very unapologetic, even when things went sideways. And I took that from him in that I don't really second guess myself. If I feel that I need to do something, I do it. And then I apologize later, or most times don't. If it doesn't, if it doesn't work out, like just keep it moving. So.
You got to respect that.
Absolutely.
So now with sales, what do you think a lot of entrepreneurs get incorrect when it comes to approaching sales?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that entrepreneurs do wrong is mistake customers as friends and mistake prospects as friends. People who potentially could do business with you. When I mean friends, I mean the interaction that you would have with your friend, like, your coworker or your friend, is the same kind of interactions that you have with customers, and that you're trying to be nice and you don't want to push the envelope and you don't want people to say no to you. And you spend your most valuable asset, which is time, with people who you should not be spending it with. And so here's what I mean by that. When I look at like the sales pipeline across a lot of my clients, and even internally, but we've adjusted that. Where I look at the sales pipeline and I go, oh, there's $1 million in revenue. Okay. But really when I dig in, only, $200,000 to $300,000 of it is real, like is actually real revenue. And I think people are a little more optimistic than realistic with themselves, in that they go, oh, well, John's so nice. He got back to my email, he's going to buy because he's nice. Where I think salespeople don't ask the tough, hard questions. And they mistake, again, the relationship that you have with your friend is not the relationship you have with a customer. You need to remember that you're doing a business transaction, and you have to ask tough questions up front. And then, so for us, I think qualifying opportunities is the biggest thing. And this is applicable to any entrepreneur, any business. Qualifying people out of the gate so that, should I be spending time with this person or should I not be? And so our methodology is it's like 5 prongs. So we say T, which is
Thank you for watching that video. To see the next video, click right over here. And to subscribe, click right over here. Peace.